You're with the Breaker-Leggers!
And we are in London at the Bush Theatre
To see the play, Misty.
So stay tuned to find out how many legs.
Whether it's break a leg or leg it.
Before you go any further,
To make sure you've always got your finger on the theatrical pulse,
for theatre news, reviews and interviews,
just hit subscribe now.
hit subscribe now, comment below about this show or any theatre you are excited about, join our Legger community and let us know what you are passionate about in the world of theatre.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So, this is a brand new play and it's written and starring Arinzé Kene. And he's a writer but also a performer who appeared on stage recently in something we saw.
Girl from the North Country. Now, Girl from the North Country, he's literally, we think, just finished that.
Yeah.
And has jumped straight into this, maybe with a week in between.
Yeah, he
so
must
he's been
have
very busy.
Really blooming busy. He was great in Girl from the North Country. This isn't a musical, but he has a beautiful voice, and I've enjoyed listening to that on the cast album, actually.
Yes, although I have saw in the programme for this that there is a musical director, and I think it does have elements of music in this, so we'll have to comment if we get to hear him sing again.
Yeah, he's a writer as well, and he is also an Evening Standard Film Award winner for his part in a film called The Pass.
Yes, with Russell Tovey. It's pretty much a two-hander, although there were other characters in it. He won the. It did start off as a play, and he won Best Supporting Actor or Best Supporting Role Evening Standard Film Awards for that. So well done him.
Yeah, this play is directed by Bush Theatre Associate Director Omar Elerian, and it features an original score that's performed live throughout the show.
Do we know what it's about?
Well, it describes itself as a lyrical journey through London's inner city, challenging assumptions and expectations of its inhabitants.
Okay. It's 2 hours long with an interval, so we'll let you know what we think when we get to our 30-second interval breakdown.
Stay tuned
To find out how many legs at the end as well. So we've come to the interval of Misty here at the Bush Theatre, which means it is time for the Breaker-Leggers 30-second interval breakdown. Go! What do you think so far?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's clearly a writer that's got something to say. I think there's a lot of culture involved in this piece, and I think if you lived in that world, you'd probably take a lot of familiarity from the story he has to tell. I'm interested to see what happens. What about you?
Yes, I think it's coming from a writer who has a passion, has a story, has quite anger, background repression even, and he's sticking up and getting his voice out.
We've come to the end of Misty at the Bush Theatre. So, what do you think?
It was a really passionate performance by a really impassioned performer and writer. Like, I could tell it was something very close to his heart. In terms of the story, it's a story that twists and changes. You kind of drop in and out of him being a central character, then him talking to the audience, so it's quite kind of self-reflectory, and it's kind of almost his journey as well, so it dances between a number of different styles, which is quite interesting. Considering there's only really one performer, I felt it moved quite well. There wasn't any part where I was disengaged. Visually, some really nice creative ideas. It's almost like a performance art piece. Poetry, rap in a way, but not rap, but more just like performance art. What is the name of that?
Well,
Is that got a style?
Performance art. Yeah, the only thing I can kind of align it to is what I know about Bryony Kimmins, really, and Pacifist Guide to the War on Cancer, and her style of sort of performance poetry and creating a piece of theatre from a single theme. And turning it into something that is engaging and that people want to see, and this sort of educational and sort of a commentary. It's a very specific piece and style of theatre. This isn't a mass sort of appeal genre.
It's a very cultured piece, which I think sits very well here. It's very much London culture. I don't know how well it would do up north, for example. I think it resonated very well with a lot of the audience members here. And a really nice glimpse or an eye shot. It's really interesting what you're saying about it links to viruses and how kind of big corporations are taking over. I think that's something that can echo anywhere.
I agree with that, and there is a lot about a kind of anti-gentrification. Actually, not anti, sort of wanting the benefits of gentrification but without the downsides. There seems to be yes, we like the investment and yes, we like the regeneration aspect of it, but we don't like the feeling of it taking away our lifeblood and our freedom that we have. I've got to say, when it comes to gentrification, it has made me think quite a lot about the ramifications in the long term. I mean, there's nothing is certain except for change. These suburban parts of London are very different today than they were 20 years ago, but 20 years ago they were very different to where they were 50 years ago. You know, change is something that needs to be embraced and accepted. Is it a good or bad thing? And this piece asks that question, I think.
Yeah, it does, and I think that's the nice thing about it. It doesn't make any specific statements. It is just a commentary and a bit of a thought-provoking piece, which is quite interesting. There were times when I was just lost in my own thoughts for a moment, so I was thinking, I wonder, okay, it's a good point you're making there.
As for the story that he's telling, I think you mentioned it sort of ducks and dives and weaves in and out of different sort of themes. I've got to say, the overall story, which is that of somebody caught up in I'm not giving too much away, caught up in a brawl which gets out of hand and then avoids the law throughout the piece, is very difficult to sympathise with. I found myself thinking, if you are avoiding justice, then you're not going to win a lot of friends here. And I struggled with that.
I don't know if that was the actual point of the piece. I think he was using that as a piece to say what stereotypical theatre about black culture would be, about the stereotypical I don't know how you describe it, but someone that gets into trouble, doesn't
don't
care.
try. Embarrass yourself.
Stereotyping of myself, but I think he was using that as a discussion point, because there were his friends saying, come on, you need to show people from our culture in a different point of view.
Yeah.
And he was saying, but actually I know someone like this, or so he thought until the end. But so I think that's more what it was. I don't think we're meant to sympathise, although it was a very colourful story and very vividly and vibrantly told in terms of his story.
And the strength is in the playwright of this. Omar, Elerian and the designer, Rajha Shakiri.
As in the direction?
Yeah, the director and the designer, I think, have worked really, really hard on bringing the story to a visual life. It was a very, in terms of projection and staging, it's a very visual story. It could be one man and a mic, couldn't it? Like, actually, for what it's trying to put across.
Well, I thought I did really well. I loved everything. You talk about the visuals, the projection was great, the set design was lovely, but also just acoustically, like the sound, audio-wise, using percussion, a very strong percussion piece, and she was fantastic. Oh, she did a bit of bass as well.
There was Shiloh Coke, her name is.
Which added massive, the kind of like the undercurrent, this driving beat and use of percussion was great.
And Adrian McLeod on keys predominantly. But they're also
really good
actors,
underscored.
though.
Yeah, they had these really quite comical moments,
Scenes.
leaving our answer phone messages. That was very good. Enjoyed that a lot.
I just think overall there were clearly people in the audience here, and again, I love the fact it's attracting a diverse audience. I mean, please, more of that. But there were people here that related to this piece a lot more than perhaps I did. And I enjoyed that aspect of kind of living vicariously through their appreciation of it. But my own appreciation from it, I felt like if I understood this culture, then I probably would have taken more away.
And isn't that the point of theatre? Isn't it a point to give you a glimpse into something that is unfamiliar?
Yeah.
We don't want to see everything that we know.
No.
It's a window into something else.
But
it's giving a voice to something else.
If you ask those people what they thought, I'm sure that their thoughts would be different to ours.
Yeah, we would probably empathise in a different way,
Yeah.
different experience, maybe even resonate differently.
It's a good example of when theatre can spark a conversation, can actually cause a little bit of debate, and as a medium, I like it when theatre does that, and I like to be able to leave, with something to chew over.
Talking of chewing over, do you want to mention bodies?
Yeah, now I've got to say, you could see our review of Guards at the Taj, which we saw here at the Bush, and I mentioned it then as well. I have this theory now, based on the two pieces that we've seen, is that you can only appear on this stage if you've got a fantastic physique.
And what a physique! What's his name? I'm going to leave you to say it because you know what I'm like with pronouncing names.
Arinzé.
Yeah. He's got a body and a half.
He does.
We're heading off to the gym now.
Yeah, I am totally ashamed of the burger I likely to eat earlier, to be honest. I mean, I'm feeling body shame right now.
He spends a lot of the second half of the second act topless, and you can see every single cut muscle.
Yeah.
So obviously a requirement.
Yeah, it must be, because there was a lot of that in Guards as well. Anyway, let's round it up.
So I guess you're probably wondering how many legs we're going to give Misty here at the Bush Theatre.
For Misty, we are going to give 3.
Yeah, a good 3.
Yeah,
very interesting
solid
piece.
3. Certainly, food for thought here. A good production, but I would say probably more is to be taken away from it with a certain type of theatre goer.
But a thoroughly enjoyable performance. I think it's very much it resonated very much as a performance piece.
Yes, and a strong
and I liked that a lot.
Undeniably talented actor and playwright.
Yes, I would like to see his work again. I'd be interested if he does something else. Very talented voice, very committed performer. I'm there. But hey,
that's just what we think.
That's just what we thought.
Yeah.
What did you think? If you managed to see this piece, if you agree with us or you disagree, or if you had a different experience, let us know. Comment below.
We'd love to hear from you. We're the Break-A-Leggers, and we'll catch you again soon.
Bye!